Yeah, this Facebook video is blowing up. In 24 hours, this has gotten 1.3 million views. Let's see what she has to say about Breonna Taylor.
All right, everybody.
All right, everybody. Time for your... It's 4 p.m. Time for me to do white supremacy as a black woman so that all the racist people can feel comfortable about their racist opinions and point to me because I'm a black woman. Time to talk about how much I hate identity politics as a black woman, by the way. Have I mentioned that I'm a black woman? You can't criticize me. You must be racist if you do. I'm a black woman. I despise Candace Owens. Time for me to take advantage of Facebook's disgusting algorithm to spread more white supremacist agitprop.
Hello, hello. Time to have one of those little chats because it seems that the Black Lives Matter narrative is getting more and more ridiculous every single day. And here we have a stunning case, Breonna Taylor, where actually every single piece of information that was provided us through the media was an absolute lie.
Interesting take. I agree. It was an absolute lie because the cops originally tried to hide the truth and tried to make it seem like they arrested the boyfriend because the boyfriend was a drug dealer. False. They arrested the boyfriend because he shot at the cops and he was in custody. That was also false. So yeah, I guess Candace Owens is correct. Candace Hitler wasn't such a bad guy, Owens, or Candace Hitler just wanted to make Germany great. Owens is back at it again.
If you have been following this case from the beginning, we have been told that Breonna was an EMT who was living life the right way. The police officers showed up accidentally to the wrong door, shot her while she was asleep. All of it a lie. Not even one part of it's true. Not one piece of that was true. First and foremost, Breonna Taylor was not an EMT. She had been in the past, but she had to step away from being an EMT because a car that she had rented all the way back in 2016 was involved in a homicide that was being investigated. A homicide which involved her boyfriend, the one that was a drug dealer, her ex-boyfriend at the time that she has been killed, Jamarcus Glover. This is all about a very intricate drug ring that the police officers had been following for years in this town that Breonna Taylor was.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh, this is so bad, dude. This is worse than I thought. I didn't think that you could I didn't think that someone could be this much of a clown. I didn't think that you could literally look at someone who is an EMT, who was studying to become a nurse and who got killed in her own apartment by cops, psycho cops that were ready to shoot on a whim. And even then you can criticize the victim. But here she is, doing that exact same thing. This is like, this is like George Floyd to Electric Boogaloo. Isn't this victim blaming? It's worse. I don't even know what this is anymore. EMTs can't be drug dealers. She's not a drug dealer. She was never a drug dealer. Why do you think she was a drug dealer? She has never been a drug dealer. This is why this shit makes me so angry because, look, racism is like having a puzzle piece that you add in to every puzzle. You have an interchangeable puzzle piece in the back of your head. And whenever there is no evidence of the matter, you just slam that racism puzzle piece in there. Black person? Well, she must be a drug dealer. Boom. She's not. She's not a drug dealer. She's never been a drug dealer. You have no evidence to that narrative, but you are motivated to think that she must be because the cops killed her. She deserved to die because the cops killed her, and she's black, so she must be a drug dealer. She's not. Even if she was a drug dealer, it doesn't matter. This is not how anything works. You don't just walk into someone's house and taxi driver them because they're dealing drugs. It doesn't work that way. Why do we have a justice system? Why do we have courts if we're just pulling Duterte in America where cops are just death squads killing everybody that they think are drug dealers? And she's not, regardless. And you, if you think that, are a racist. You are a racist person and you are fitting that narrative. Like you're literally just throwing in that puzzle piece in there. You're slamming it in the absence of all evidence pointing to the opposite. You still think that she was a drug dealer. As far as the car being involved in a homicide case or some shit, the rental car that was in her name. Okay. I'm confused. Does any of this warrant First of all, that has nothing to do with the investigation. Her house has nothing to do with the investigation. We know for a fact that her house did not even receive any drug packages, and that information was faulty. There wasn't even enough information that would warrant a no-knock raid, but the court signed away on it anyway. We have the benefit of hindsight in this circumstance regardless. So why are you still lying? Like, why are you still, like, we know what the truth is, and you're still operating on, like, complete false narratives. It's disgusting to do this specifically as a black woman to cover up the actions of a police force that took the life of an innocent black woman. And you're using your black womanhood to make other white supremacists and race people feel better about their racist opinions. It's disgusting. I think no amount of money in the world is worth being this horrible of a human being. Maniacal levels of grifting. Oh my God.
Breonna Taylor did not deserve to die. It's common sense. She was mixed up with the wrong.
And also, she's a gigantic pussy, too, on top of that. Did this exact same shit with George Floyd. Turned around and said George Floyd did not deserve to die, but also he was no hero. I'm not saying he deserved to get choked for 9 minutes and die, but also he wasn't a hero and he was a piece of shit, and like, it was kind of good that he died, but he wasn't. I'm not saying that it was good. Like, this is exactly what she does every time, because she's a pussy, too, on top of it. Just say it.
It's unfortunate that she's dead. You know, this is one of those instances when you're growing up and your parents tell you not to hang out with the wrong people because you can end up in the wrong circumstances and you can get yourself into trouble.
It's unfortunate that Breonna Taylor's ex-boyfriend might have sold drugs, even though he didn't live in that house, even though he never actually conclusively picked up drugs from that house at all, even though Breonna Taylor had no opinion on this or no knowledge of this whatsoever, according to her family at the very least. All of that is just unfortunate. Why are you saying all of this if it's not to just justify the actions of the police? You are literally doing that. Is the argument here that, like, if you have dated someone that you might not have even known as a drug dealer, if you've dated someone who may or may not have been a drug dealer at some point, even years after the fact, even if you're moved on and even if you're dating someone else, you still deserve to get killed in your house? What a psychotic, insane take. What if Candace Owens dated someone who's also committed a crime? Can cops walk into her apartment now that she's married to a military member and a Republican and is still an esteemed white supremacist mouthpiece? What if someone walked into her house and clapped her? Is that okay? Are people going to turn around and be like, well, it was justified because she dated someone who, I don't know, did a felony assault 4 years ago? It's, of course, hilarious that a person who literally successfully sued her school board or board of education back in Connecticut for hate crimes that she experienced that caused her to have anorexia, who hated Donald Trump to turn heel and become the biggest pro-Trump and biggest white supremacist mouthpiece. It's all about the money, baby. That's it. She is a gigantic grifter. And if you believe her, you're a idiot. Either you're an idiot or you're so goddamn racist that you're horny for a black person to also share the exact same racist opinions that you do. Complete grifter.
Hanging in the wrong crowd doesn't matter if we're actively helping our boyfriends move drugs, which is what Breonna Taylor was actually doing, okay? This is the truth. You can head and you can read all of the police investigations.
Breonna Taylor was never, this is false. Complete falsehoods. Now she's just basically, I mean, not basically, she's just lying. Breonna Taylor did not help her boyfriend move drugs. This is not true. By the way, just for the record, you know how she said Breonna Taylor wasn't an EMT anymore? That's also not true. I hope you know that, because Breonna Taylor was literally working and had just got done with a 4 overnight shift at the hospital where she worked as an emergency room technician the night that she died. So every part of what she has said about Breonna Taylor is a lie. Every part. Breonna Taylor had just done 4 overnight shifts at the hospital where she worked as an emergency room technician. Absolute pathetic, dude. It's so disgusting.
The police officers had every right to be at her property. They had been monitoring that property for weeks because they were involved in meth, crack cocaine. You were told that the police officer shot her while she was asleep. No, she was standing in a hallway, right? You were told that she had nothing to do with anything and it was all an accident. It was not an accident, okay? She was knee deep in drugs.
Dude, what are you saying, dude? What are you saying? This is so insane. Okay. Listen. Like, I don't know how to counter this because she's just lying. Like, I have never seen this level of propaganda to this magnitude. Like, she's lied about literally everything while simultaneously claiming that the other side is lying about the details. I don't know if they could sue her for slander. I don't know if the family could, but this has 1.3 million views in 19 hours, chat. So if you think I'm platforming this filth, it's the opposite. This is a video that you have to talk about. Here is the 4-page incident report on Breonna Taylor, by the way. Taylor Breonna Shaquille, victim of crime 1, nothing. Like, no additional details. Injuries, none. She had 6 bullets in her body. Injuries, none. Forced entry, no. They blew the door off its f***ing hinges.
You can actually log on and read the transcripts from when her ex-boyfriend, Jamarcus Glover, got arrested back in 2018. They actually recorded their jail conversations between her and the entire network of the people that were moving drugs through the neighborhood.
She was dating this person that she had broken up with already and cut ties. What is this take? The conversations that they had were that he said he loved her. She was living with someone else. If you have dated someone who was a drug dealer who went to jail, does that mean that, like, if you break up with them, you're still forever responsible and you can be killed on a moment's notice? What is this psychotic take? I would love for her to reveal the tapes. I know what they said. I'm looking at it right now. As Mr. Glover tried to make bail, he told another woman that he had left about $14,000 with Miss Taylor. Bree had been having all my money, he claimed, the same afternoon. He also told an associate he had left money at Miss Taylor's home. Mr. Agar, the lawyer for her family, said that no drugs or cash were found at her apartment after the raid. I wonder why. No drugs or cash were found at her apartment after the raid. Well, if you live in a low-income neighborhood and your neighbors might be dealing drugs, don't go near that house, because if you get clapped, they will use your vicinity, your proximity, as a reason, even if you have literally no evidence whatsoever. They went into her house for all of the reasons that we have talked about a million times over, because her ex-boyfriend had gone into her house, even though there were no packages that actually were intercepted that were clearly drugs or anything like that. They were like, they might be drugs. Her boyfriend went into the house. They thought she was alone. They didn't even know she had a different boyfriend. They didn't even know she had a new boyfriend. They thought she was alone in the house.
This is a case that comes down to personal responsibility. Of course, the most important part about this case, which no one is talking about, is that they fired first. They shot a police officer, and I shouldn't say they, I should say the guy that she was with at the time, Kenneth Walker, fired and shot a police officer before hiding behind her and running to the back of the house. And she then took all of the bullets from the returning bullets from the police officer as they were standing in a hallway side by side next to each other.
I thought Americans had a right to self-defense. I thought Candace Owens was a right-winger. I thought she loved Americans arming themselves. If you can't defend yourself from people who are storming into your house in the middle of the night, according to the overwhelming, nearly every single witness, storming into the house and shooting, with the exception of one witness who said they heard knocks beforehand, and they might have said that they were cops. What are you supposed to do in that situation? It's insane.
The police come, they knock on the door. Okay? And they say police. Why do we know that's true? Because Kenneth Walker himself verified that him and Breonna Taylor heard the knock at the door, and the neighbors came outside to speak to the police officers.
Not true. This is a lie. This is another lie. If Kenneth Walker knew it was cops, then why did he call 911 and said they're breaking into my house and they shot my girlfriend? Why didn't he say they're cops? Why did every single neighbor, literally, other neighbors called 911? Why did they call 911? I love that she's like, everyone in the media is lying, and then proceeds to lie about the case completely. Kenneth Walker literally thought, according to his testimony, that this was Breonna Taylor's potential ex, the drug dealer one, that was coming back into the house with guns. And that's why he shot one round into the ground. And I think according to the theory at the moment, it ricocheted into the person's leg. Doesn't even matter. Even if he shot him point blank, even if he shot the cop point blank, it doesn't change anything.
The neighbors have verified that the police officer said it's the police.
No. 11 neighbors said that they only heard banging and gunshots. Only one said he heard potentially that it was the police. One neighbor out of 12. Why? Why are you saying this? That's all it takes? Why is it that we are avoiding 11 people?
Now, you hear people who have white guilt, and people, doesn't matter. How do they know it was the police? I don't know.
It doesn't matter. Also, even if the neighbors heard it, what is the argument here? Is the argument that, like, he knew cops were coming and he wanted to get a kill? That Breonna Taylor's, like, boyfriend was ready to execute a cop and he heard that they were cops, so he was like, yeah, I'm gonna go kill a cop now. Like, is that what the argument is? Is that what people believe is happening here? And then he had the wherewithal to call 911 and be like, he knew that he killed a cop, but he was still, like, lying and saying, like, they're breaking into my home and they killed my girlfriend? Are all the neighbors in on it too? With the exception of one brave neighbor? Insane.
Oh, shoot first and ask questions later. I wouldn't know it was the police if you knocked and said the police. Okay, would you grab your gun and fire at them? Wouldn't you look out the window, check the peephole to see what's going on?
No, because the door was knocked in. Because the door was slammed in. And they're plainclothes officers. Why? What the are you supposed to do in that circumstance? Why has she not mentioned that they were in plainclothes? Why has she not mentioned that the overwhelming majority, nearly every single witness, said that they didn't know that there were cops and executing a no-knock warrant? Why was there a warrant for a no-knock warrant, but then the cops changed their attitude really quickly and said they actually did knock on a no-knock warrant? That's so weird. Why is it that they had a no-knock warrant, but cops didn't fully abide by that and actually did knock?
We have now dramatically shifted the narrative to Black Lives Matter, which means even when a Black American is armed, shoots a police officer, the police officer has a warrant to arrest and to inspect that property and take drugs.
No drugs were found on the property. No cash was found on the property. Won't hear Candace Owens mention that, though.
It is the bigotry of low expectations. Stop believing. If you are a white person, you've been defending this and you've been wearing a Breonna Taylor t-shirt and you've been demanding justice for Breonna, then you should be demanding that her boyfriend serves time in prison for firing at a police officer. You should not be demanding a police officer's figurative head on a stick. These are the people that protect and serve the community. You keep saying Black Lives Matter. Did any of the Black lives that were having crack cocaine moved into their neighborhood by this whole organization of criminals?
There is no evidence that Breonna Taylor is a part of this organization. She's just completely running along with the narrative that, like, Breonna Taylor's a massive drug dealer. Also, I love that when she was saying crack cocaine being moved to the neighborhoods, she almost said Ronald Reagan or CIA, but then was like, by these drug dealers that are not a part of the CIA, nor Ronald Reagan had anything to do with it. Black people just found it on their own and started selling it.
This case is an unfortunate one. It is not a case of police brutality. It is not a case that has anything to do with race, okay? You could have put a white person, you could have put a meth lab in there.
Yeah, you could have. You could have put a meth lab in there and a white person in there. And in that situation, there would at least be a little bit more of a reason for the cops to kill someone in that situation if there was a back and forth shootout inside of a meth lab. But that's not what happened.
White kids selling meth and they knocked on the door and the meth kids shot at them. The police would have...
Yeah, in this completely different scenario where meth dealers are having a shootout with the police, it would be justifiable to some degree. But that's not what happened. Why are you changing the outcome in its entirety? Why are you changing the situation? Yeah, what if they were actually white kids who also had a tactical nuke and they were threatening to kill everyone in the city with that tactical nuke? In that situation, is it still not appropriate for the cops to kill? Like, yeah, let's just totally just fuck the goalpost, dude. Shoot the goalpost in a cannon towards the sun. Change the dynamic. Change the situation in its entirety. And then I'm right.
They had a warrant. They were at the right residence. Taylor's name was on the warrant. Jamarcus Glover's name was on the warrant.
Cops historically and notoriously never operate on shitty evidence or even in some instances, false evidence. Okay? They never do that. No-knock raids are not notorious for getting the wrong people killed. So I'm glad that Candace Owens is talking about this right now. I'm being sarcastic. Everything I said is the exact opposite. Okay? No-knock raids are literally deadly and oftentimes kill the wrong people. And they did in this situation as well, which is a situation that she's trying to justify by saying, well, they had a warrant. So, yeah. And
then hide behind your girlfriend and allow her to take the bullets. Why are we not having that conversation about personal responsibility?
What?
Oh, I know.
What about the personal responsibility of the police? What the They are the ones with the knowledge. They are the ones who are executing a warrant on faulty information. They are the ones who killed someone. How is this the boyfriend's fault? Dude, this is so bad. Again, if you can believe this, you are so motivated to believe this. You are so motivated that like you're horny for any sort of justification, specifically from a black woman too. Oh God.
Do you realize how scary that is? That we have people that are actively defending criminals every single day. There has not been a single instance this year that Black Lives Matter has jumped on where the black person was not involved in some level of criminality. Not George Floyd, who was on fentanyl, ingested fentanyl before his arrest. Jacob Blake, he was a guy who had a warrant out for his arrest for digitally raping a black woman and telling her that she smelled like she had been with someone else.
This is now the highlight reel of racial agitprop, where Candace is going after every single notable instance or every single high-profile case of police brutality and extrajudicious killings of African Americans.
Floyd, who was on fentanyl, ingested fentanyl before his arrest, was obviously, if you have now read the labs, they are saying he died of a drug overdose and there was actually no injury sustained to his neck despite watching the case, right? A man that was on methamphetamine and fentanyl and was trying to use counterfeit bills. Was he a pure victim? Absolutely not. Jacob Blake, he was a guy who had a warrant out for his arrest for digitally raping.
I guess her argument is what, like to kill every black person that cops engage with or something? I'm having a really hard time. Racism, any percentage speed run, yeah, really good. Here's the thing that Candace Owens weirdly does not comprehend, even though she is a black woman herself. I guess she's deaf to all of the cries from black women that also protest police brutality. But, you know, the money bags are preventing her from seeing that, I guess. She's like, nobody cares about the black victims in that circumstance is insane. Because in a lot of those circumstances, the female black victims of digital penetration in that circumstance would still be against police brutality because they understand that it's not like the cops are going to save them. And those very same cops are still likely to kill their black sons and daughters in a similar situation.
A job for a police officer is to protect and serve the community, not to protect and serve the criminals.
I mean, but they didn't. They literally, she wasn't a criminal, and the cops literally didn't protect and serve the community in that instance. They killed Breonna Taylor. That's not very good protection. And like apprehension does not mean shooting someone. I'm also confused by that. Like you don't protect and serve the community by literally going gung-ho ape shit on people and like unloading your weapon, unloading your service weapon on someone. That's not protecting and serving anybody's community, especially considering the fact that the people in that community seem to not feel like they're being protected and served by the law enforcement officers. And that's why they are protesting against police brutality, because they are not safe. They don't feel safe. They want to feel safe. They want to make sure that cops have some accountability so that they actually do the job that they are supposed to do, which is protect and serve that community, but they don't.
You have to listen to instructions from police officers. Is this the result of the black community having such a high rate of father absences? I'm just trying.
Yikes, dude. She is worse than Jesse Lee Peterson. Just absolutely worse than Jesse Lee Peterson. This is like the shit that she's saying now is like, oh, what about them blacks? I mean, this is literally just like, come on, us blacks are real violent, right? Come on. We don't got no fathers. Like, that's literally what she's doing. I mean, this is like, holy shit, dude. Holy shit. Close your eyes and imagine a white person saying exactly what Candace Owens is saying. There you go. You have your answer.
And is that breakdown of family also transpiring because we have a culture of celebrities like LeBron James who are pretending that these people are all victims and innocent, and people like Beyonce?
The only reason why this psycho gets away with this kind of white supremacist racial agitation is because so many people are so racist on both sides of the political spectrum that they're fearful of pushing back against this nonsense because she is black. And her words mean more because she's black. That's it. She is literally using identity politics as a shield. Right-wingers do this all day, every goddamn day. And that's precisely what she's doing.
Breonna Taylor was a victim of her own bad choices and circumstances, okay? She was a victim of her boyfriend and her boyfriend's bad choices and circumstances. This is what happens when you hang out with drug dealers, people that have guns on them, people that their instinct is to shoot first. This is what happens, okay? So spare me your white guilt.
I don't have any white guilt, and none of you should in this circumstance either. This isn't white guilt. This is wanting justice. This is wanting accountability so that cops can't kill people, and white people as well, by the way. Because racist assholes will be the first to point out that more white people get killed in the hands of the police by then black people. Not a good look to call POC race traitors. I mean, I didn't even say that, but yeah, no, I think Candace Owens is. She is a traitor to America. I think she's not only a race traitor, but also on top of that, she's a horrible person, justifying the death of any human being in the hands of a violent, tyrannical police state, in an extrajudicial killing in her own home, trying to justify it by like literally lying about the victim in that circumstance. It's absolutely pathetic. It's disgusting.